You got nothing.
Sir, first 10 minutes of the session was live for all, sir. But afterwards, it was disconnected, sir. Now you can start, sir.
Okay. Which slide shall I start? Where did they lose me?
From 10. No, you have given some intro regarding without changing a slide. First 5 minutes.
Okay, without changing slides, so I have to
Yeah,
repeat
yeah.
all the. Okay,
Afterwards, it was like disconnected.
I see. Okay, so do we need to hard stop at 11:30?
No, sir, just now. You can start it now, sir. Now it was live again.
Okay. Do we have any questions from the audience?
No, sir, the session ended from our side. There is a technical issue.
Okay.
Then we noticed it earlier. Then we made a call to you in order to stop the session and rejoin again. Like now it was like a flow.
Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Can you stay online so that if you have any questions, if I can answer?
The presentation outline it was visible now.
Okay. Did I cover this slide last time?
No, sir.
Okay. So today I will try to again. I think you just heard the introduction, so I'll try to make a justice by touching through what is the Gen AI in healthcare, what is the Gen AI in drug discovery and development, how do we make the strategic decision making. If time permits, I will quickly run through a couple of case studies where successful implementation has resulted in benefits to humankind, and what are the ethical and regulatory consideration, the future trends and the opportunities. So that's what something I planned for this session. So in terms of key concept, again, as you can see, so Gen AI involves the new data based on existing data, uh, such as the neural network and the deep learning. So these are the fundamental concepts that are used in Gen AI. Some of the key concept is how it differ from AI is the potential applications, right? That's how it clearly defined. So generally it's used in various plethora of things. So in terms of the key definitions, if you see clearly, Gen AI is different than GPT or the transformers. So GPT talks about the language models, where it talks about like human like text, and again open AI is the pioneer where Microsoft is collaborating with them, whereas the transformer is all more about the neural network, to understand the relationship between the words and the text sequences. As the it performs performers transformers have been successful due to their ability to capture contextual relationship and generate high quality outputs. Whereas when talk about the Gen AI specifically, it's a type of artificial intelligence that can create a wide variety of data, and it could produce the new content also by learning the patterns of existing data. So that's the reason it's very important. In pharmaceutical, we are also very creative. So new data need to be created. So a particular protein or a particular chemical moiety. So new chemical moiety need to be created. So obviously, so these capabilities can be leveraged. So technology can produce the complex variable content that many industries can use, and then here we try to focus from the healthcare point of view. So application is predominantly is being demonstrated, this art is being demonstrated, you know it, lot of movies, lot of graphics, based on scenarios it can create. Music, clearly a lot of music is also being generated, like Narendra Modi can sing in Tamil language, right? So that's such a creative components is there. And of course gaming, last but not least, right? Those are the general other applications of Gen AI. Coming specifically to the our component, where we revolve around three major components, right? One is the pharma industries, how they want to leverage, and then of course the healthcare practitioners, healthcare, and the last but not least the patients are the center of everything we do, right? For doctors to survive, we need the patients. For pharma companies also, we need to have patients consuming the medicines through the prescriptions of the doctors. So obviously, pharma companies, we are partnering with tech companies, which I will show in the next slide. And also predominantly it starts with research and development, and then it goes to discovery to development of clinical human trials, then regulatory filing, and then bringing products to the markets, right? Of course, a lot of examples which we can discuss. Of course, the HCPs also will use a lot of these components, again particularly more about diagnosing the patients. So this intelligence are nowadays you talk about robotic arm surgery, robotic knee replacement surgery, and you're talking about the diagnosis, a lot of x-rays, MRI, PET scan. So you need to have this, like this neural network that can scan and that can give you the computational power, right? And then of course the patients also need to understand what are their symptoms, how best they can articulate to the physician, right? So from ancient Greek era they have been told that actual diagnosis patient will tell you if you listen them carefully. So listening skills is at the pars. So most of the time we end up losing the listening part. So either patients are not able to listen properly the question asked by doctor, because obviously the doctor comes from a different language. You need to demonstrate impeccable empathy. Well, patients explain sometimes doctor is busy with his own agenda and program. He doesn't pay full attention to the what patient is talking. So that's the reason a lot of diagnosis errors will happen, prescription errors will happen. So some of these tools is there in present. So it's constantly it's recording. You try to course correct in the due course of time, right? So then specifically talking about what are the utility of what are the key attributes of GenAI technology. Text generation is key, right? So we have Remington Pharmaceutical Sciences or Goodman Gilman. These are a huge volume of textbooks, right? But of course, these tools, AI tools, can process this in alarming speed. It can give you the specific answers. So essentially, ChatGPT, if you put an examination, it can clear. So it already has cleared the US medicine examination, it already cleared the management examination, it already came out as a legal counsel passing the bar examination in the US judicial system. So that's how it can process the text, whatever that's there in the textbook. So we are in the brink of era where our education system, how far it's relevant, right now we all talking about memorizing the textbooks and then reproducing it in the form of answer sheets, but whole concept has been eradicated now with the revolution that's happening now. So then how, what are the other skills which as a students we need to learn, right? As a teachers, that is a big question is in front of you, because as an average whatever we read and study in the colleges is no more relevant when it comes to the practical utility application, when it comes to the practical world, right? Even for doctors also, they study a lot in medical school, but when it comes to today's prescription they are dependent heavy on the constant medical education which they learn from the medical reps, or they themselves traveling to the medical conferences, right? So every year, be it American Society of Oncology or American Thoracic Society or European Respiratory Medicine, every year it's anywhere between 50,000 to 60,000 physicians, they travel all across the world. They discuss about the new data that's being generated in the various diseases. So that is the quantum of new data is being generated. So obviously the treatment decisions need to be enabled based on that quantum of new information that's available. So we cannot no more make the prescription and decisions based on the old era of what we learned in the B schools or pharma schools. So how are we equipping the current student systems so that they can do a better justice when the real challenges that poses, right? So image generation is another way where it can captures the images. We already discussed about how it's relevant, because most of our learning is all visual in form. So it can process these technologies. Again, video generation is more from entertainment industry, but also within us also, videos are key when it comes to the education components of the constant medical programs, as well as the when it talk about the marketing. So what sort of the best videos which we are showing. Last but not least, data generation, right? So it can create new data. What does it mean by creation of the new data, right? We're talking about CADS, computer aided drug design. So essentially we need to have a new chemical entity, molecule, new data, new structure essentially that fits a particular protein or an enzyme or a particular target that leads to etiology of a particular disease, be it cancer or be it any autoimmune disorder, you name it. So essentially, you need to have a computational skill. It can, synthesize the data. So this is something as a concept, nothing new. It's been existing for more than two and a half decades since during my something called molecular modeling, where big computers are there, and then you have in silico modeling where you create a protein and then you put a right fit. So now with the current computational power, you can do it with alarming accuracy.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Uh, Slides are not getting changed, sir. Uh,
Right.
Slides are not getting changed
Which
on
slide can you
screen.
see? Can you see the slide now?
Yes, only one slide. That
In the
is,
beginning, the same slide.
the same slide is there actually.
Which slide? Can you read the content in the slide right now?
Presentation online.
First slide,
First,
whatever it
first
mentioned.
slide. Some,
I am.
one hand is there, na?
Oh, right now, is it changed?
No, no, no. Yes,
No.
yes. Now,
Huh? Is it changed now?
now it is. Yes, yes.
What you can see now?
Now, some table.
Can you read the table?
Microsoft, Cohere,
Yes.
some
Okay.
company names with the key products and
Yeah.
the areas
Did
covered.
now did it change now?
No, sir.
So I changed the slide now to next slide. It didn't change.
No, no, no.
It's still in
Didn't.
Microsoft.
No, sir, you didn't change it. It was focused on the previous slide only with the red box.
Microsoft.
Yeah, Microsoft only.
I see. I see. So can
Now
you
it
see
was changed.
now? Now you see all
Click
the
on that.
slides.
Now it was changed, sir.
So maybe I need to do it manually, I think, for each slide then. Okay.
Yes, yes, sir.
I see. No problem. Cool. So, so these are the various tech gains are collaborated with healthcare and pharmaceutical companies, which has the different varying capabilities, right? Because as a pharma company, healthcare one cannot do itself, so they are dependent on the what is available outside. Yeah. So it also resulted in opportunity for many other players also, like R&D, medical information, and medical imaging. So a lot of other companies are evolved, right? So they're helping to create more value to the organizations or to the patients and the ecosystem, right? Medical imaging, again, some of the companies like Nvidia is a graphic chip player, but they're also heavily investing on terms of getting the imaging right. Similarly, these companies are also there. Okay. So now summarizing into what are the key strengths and weaknesses. Yeah. So essentially, the creativity and novelty is something a huge strength, and efficiency and speed is another strength, and then tools ability to adapt and flexibility to train the tool for the various data sets is also another strength, and improve decision making, that's equally important, right? Because we're talking about zillions of data. If we talk about the complexity of human body, it consists of 50 trillion cells, and then each cell is undergoing millions of chemical reactions per every second. So that is the complexity of the human operations, right? So we need to understand the pathology and some of those components and ability to bring the new treatment paradigms. So it's clear to leverage some of these strengths in order to address the complexity of challenges that's been presented in front of us. At the same time, this also brings a lot of weaknesses. Obviously, there are a lot of ethical concerns in terms of ensuring a transparent and ethical use of Gen AI. It's a challenge, and then bias that comes into the component, because these are the models which are trained based on the specific set of instruction that you give. So it's garbage in and garbage out. Once it gets wrong and it goes into the rabbit hole. So those are the biggest weakness. Quality of data, because we are operating with limited data, right? Because we do not know fully about our human brain itself. So a lot of information, as we're talking, every year new data is being generated. What is truth? Because we do not know fully. So we are operating already with off-based information. So some of these learning tools have a challenge of perpetually making the error. So that's the reason it's also constantly we need to train them also. Again, this is a resource intensive, right? Can you talk about the any cloud computer, like for example, every time you do a chat GPT, it can very instantly it gives the answer. Obviously, there is a big servers outside. They are working on it. Can you guess what is the electricity consumption of that particular supercomputer? Obviously, you cannot respond. Let me give an answer. So it's as much as the New York City. How much electricity that city consumes? That is the consumption, electricity consumption of these data centers, right? So that is the computational build power has been built as we speak. So of course there are a lot of resources need to be deployed, right? So can you see the next slide?
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
personalized treatment plans.
Correct. Thank you. So the personalized
Yes.
treatment plan is another major thing because this once a patient gets unique tag ID, right? It has all the past historical information. It can correlates, and then next time when our patient goes, it is not like every time you need to refer all the files. So you can do as personalized to say as patient specific treatment decisions can be made. And then can you see the predictive analytics for patient outcomes?
Sir?
Predictive analytics for the patient outcomes. Did the slide change? Okay. So then I will shift to the drug discovery. So identifying the new medicines has been existing for some times, but with late models, the speed has been phenomenally increased. And of course, predicting molecular and structural property, which is something a huge boost with GenAI can predict the molecular structures and property of a new compounds that can accelerate the drug discovery because we do something called physiochemical property in terms of understanding how a molecule get dissolved for the pharmaceutical applications, and also understand how pharmacodynamics and pharmacokinetics, how it acts in our body and how body eliminates the drug. Some of those components can be precisely can be modeled and can be built. And again, screening the optimizing drug candidates, right? So we already heard something called HTP, high throughput screening. So now with these things coming up, AI can be used to screen and optimize the drug candidates, reducing the time and cost of clinical trials because it takes all often as an average $4 to $5 billion. If we can bring down that cost, it will be a huge boost. And the machine learning algorithms can identify a potential molecular structure for the drug candidates, can predict their efficacy and safety. Yeah. So then innovation drug development is also a key because discovery is more about until preclinical study. So clinical trials also, how do we identify the right patients, right? So you can deploy these resources, tools to identify the right patients and subpopulation that's most likely to respond to a specific treatment, and tailoring dosing requirement to individual patients, right? Because those calculation itself will take a lot of time if you talk about pharmacokinetics point of view, right? And then last but not least, the reducing the cost and the time in the drug development, right? So predicting efficacy and toxicity, it can once we can able to reduce the failures at the early, then we end up saving a lot of costs rather than a molecule that fails in phase 3. So a lot of money is already wasted in phase 1 and phase 2. So we can reduce that. And then we can do the optimize the drug combinations also. Drug drug interaction is something one of the common adverse effect. So this is something which can be easily associated. And then laboratory task, like it can automate routine laboratory task, and then it can also save both time and the cost. So net to net, if we can talk about like protein-based therapeutics, small molecules can be created, and then the new drug delivery system for enhancing the clinical outcomes can be moderated, and there are a lot of personal treatment can also be done, right? That's something very important. Again, talking application specific to the medical affairs, right? It talks about the medical content generation, medical data analysis, medical education chatbots, key opinion leaders, because at the end we do not know who is the specialist who's sitting in which particular part of the world. So based on their publication activity, we can clearly identify these tools can make that precision based specific opinion to a specific rare disease also can be identified. And of course even planning and those components has been used, but now it can get more leveraged. So MSLs are some medical scientific liaisons. Usually, pharmaceutical company uses them to deploy for application at the physicians what specific knowledge information which they need to know. You can do a better planning with AI tools and technology. We can also no, it can also translate the rapid synthesis of the vast amount of scientific and metadata that a particular physician need to consume, and we can accurately interpret and identify the key insights and trends to deliver the most valuable information to the doctor, because doctor is busy with so many patients and so many work. So he need to be specifically told based on his requirement in a particular city what is the thing which you need to know for his patients, which you can help better. And it also helps to make the better time management. And also medical affairs teams can leverage for designing the clinical trial itself is a complex, so we can design at a much at a quick rate and speed, and then it can also predict the outcomes, and then it can optimize the trials for the results. So coming to the commercial point of view, what is the importance of the data in terms of decision making, right? So data visualization is something very key, right? So at the end, if you a report is been studied, usually done in a graphical presentation, right? So obviously it can visualize the data, it aligning speed and with clarity. So then our processing information is much faster. And then no, any data is a data, but again without statistical it's meaningless, right? For example, what is the difference between these two difference, like these two bars? Okay, specific statistical test need to be deployed. Is it could be t-test, it could be ANOVA, analysis of variance, it could be chi-square, depending upon the nature of the data. So these tools can help you to also recommend this, what are the specific statistical analysis to be performed, and it can also run the specific analysis for you, right? So that's how you can use reduce significant amount of time. I'm sure the people who are sitting in the audience who have PhDs and who have done scientific literature, they can understand the application of this, how efficient it can make you, and you can focus your time on other more important strategic decisions which you need to do. So in terms of future planning, right, if we have the insights that's coming from the data, right, from the data analysis, that need to implement in the strategic planning to drive the business growth or success. If you're talking about business as an objective, I can do that. If as a scientist, if you talk about the scientific advancement, you can do the similar thing for your applications. Similarly, the students need to revolve around for the learning objectives. It can be custom made. It essentially involves identifying the key trends, patterns, opportunities, and developing an actionable strategies that we need to implement as we go along. So, in terms of finally wrapping with what are the few success case studies, right? Halicin is a novel antibiotic that is discovered using GenAI technology. It has found to be effective against a wide range of bacteria and holds a great promise in treating antibiotic resistant infections. Again, the speed of discovery, right? Using GenAI technology, new antibiotic can be discovered in a matter of days, actually, compared to the years it would be using a traditional drug discovery methods. The speed of discovery can help address the growing problem of antibiotic resistance, because this is very dynamic as we speak, right? Because the bacteria is constantly undergoing mutation and it's changing its resistance pattern, right? So similarly, another major important point is the cancer, right, which is some one area which constantly evolving, right? Gen AI also playing an increasingly important role in developing a new cancer treatment by identifying novel drug compounds and predicting efficacy, and it reduces the time and the cost of clinical trials, because cancer trials are done in a very small scales of like 10-15 patients, relatively done in much quicker space, because we do not have much patients that will be available. Yeah. So last but not least, right, this is something which cross factor, right? This is the combination of pharmaceutical companies need to come and interact with the technology guides. So that's what science meeting the technology in its pure form, biology to the computers, right? So that's the reason these partnerships are very important in order to unleash what is there, right? In terms of understanding drug safety is key, and again drug development, these are the components which tech companies do not understand. They understand more from mathematics point of view. We need to bring in our component, right? So again we need to this technologies can be used in customer journey experience, as the patient starts from diagnosis to the end. It can be understood from scientific journey, it can understand the emotional journey which they have. Again, pharmaceutical companies can leverage this data to understand what is the best unmet need, what are the specific points which we need to use to enhance the better penetration of the medicines, which right decisions can be made so that patients can use it. And then branding, the messaging is key, right? And impactful branding and messaging can customer data and insights can be generated, because all the pharmaceutical product need to be branded for the doctors to prescribe. And again similarly, market research, right? There are so many unmet need in the market we do not know, so we need to understand the market. So for that, again, gen AI tools can help to identify the trends and the patterns and the insights from the literature, and as well as the social media. Like doctors are commenting a lot on the social media. A lot of information is available in the social media, so these tools can help to read what are the people are talking every day. Tons of generated data is being generated. Say a conference happens like American Society of Oncology, and doctors start commenting about what are the latest trend that came out. So the social media analytics can be used to understand what are the current trends, the themes that emerged, that people are discussing as important for themselves as well for the patients, right? And then the material and chatbots, and these are the AI tools that get hyper personalized content and creative format to the personal promotional materials that can be leveraged to a specific regulatory requirements. Last but not least, the digital marketing and optimizations. Usually, traditionally, like a lot of reps used to visit the doctors and then they promote the medicines. Again, here there's this again. This model can be used to for the internal information to analyze the consumer customer behavior, and then optimize the algorithm. Right, what is the prescription pattern of a doctor and what sort of information he would need. That something can be leveraged. So again, just escaping and just to ensure that you're seeing the latest slide because there's a lag. So again, Novartis again uses Gen AI to identify the brand names of its drug. Merck has built their Carla. It's a chatbot that designed to specific customer service. Right. Again, these are the applications which invariably reduce the time that gets wasted. Right. So that's very important, and also it makes the right choices in terms of brand availability and customer preferences. Yeah, in terms of so sales generation, customer segmentation, because a specific doctors will write specific products, so we can identify who are the specific doctors who need to be consulted for the product promotion. Sales reps can be trained on the specific contents which they need, performance metrics, and how do we plan this from the commercial applications point of view. Again, these are again different companies. Again, Sanofi has partnered with IBM Watson, and also this again a virtual assistant they also built in. Yeah, and again this could more provide a time management plan according to internal data in terms of availability and objective, and external data in terms of HCP availability and traffic status optimization, right? So net to net, in near future, the development of Gen AI will have significantly enhanced the robustness and effectiveness and efficacy of the various existing tools and systems. From research in the development like self-supervised learning components, or development of the most of the robust and flexible Gen AI models to multimodal variants. And also there's another area where research is focused on developing the models that are either better able to understand the input context, which again lead to, in terms of impact wise, if you see, it can do more output, more qualitative in nature. It can solve more complex and the various outputs across a wide range of tasks and domain. And last but not least, they can generate accurate content that for the coherent response that's required. So this area of work that's key for the scientific use. Yeah. So this is again data wise, if we talk, right, different sources can bring different information. I just wanted to ensure you are seeing the same screen. Yeah. Right. And then you have data ingestion, and then data quality to be checked by different platforms, and then it get transformed into data lake, right? Based on that, again you have different coding parameters are available that gets feed into a commercial applications. These are the various tools in terms of research and developments. So different tools and available tools and technologies are available, and similarly it also lead to knowledge management. So what of various new information that can be managed for the applications. Yeah. So that's obviously net to net. To summarize a long story short, since we are running out of time, starting with R&D, the scientific knowledge extraction is the key, because most of you would be using PubMed, right? In ancient days, if you ask to generate one particular paragraph on non-cell lung cancer for chemotherapy failed resistant patients, right? So you do PubMed and you do a lot of literature search and you download the documents and then you do EndNote and read and create. All these things which used to take 2 to 3 days of a time. Nowadays, with the Gen Chat applications, as long as you have you prompt engineering, you have right prompt, right? I am a scientist in academia looking for non-squamous cell carcinoma, second line patients who are failed on chemotherapy, who are drug resistant to XYZ, to identify the drug target for a specific. If you put that particular specific prompt, it will extract all the information. It synthesizes the abstract in what are the 50 words or 100 words or 200 words. You can define the count. It gives the paragraph with all the citations, which usually take couple of days, can be done in less than a minute time. So that is the efficiency which you're talking about here with Gen AI technology. Regulatory document, be it US FDA or EMEA or Indian, right, drug controller of India, they all require pages and boxes of data need to be submitted for them to review all the information necessary to make approval decisions. So all this information synthesis, right, drafting, nowadays these tools will take care, because these are language models. It understand what is the context, and it can, if you can put a right input, it can really synthesize and it can put it into right structure. Yeah. And again, HA queries, like health authority queries, if they come, earlier it takes like a month to respond. Nowadays, you can respond in a days or 2 days a time, because these computational tools are there. And then integrated evidence planning can be done, because these are tools that can integrate. And then protocol design, right? Digitization can be done. Coming to the supply chain, most of us are already using online marketing, online digital, like Amazon, Flipkart. Similarly, in pharmaceutical also, all the supply chain is optimized by using these technologies, right? So pay a specialty in pharmacy contract, at least in the Western countries, where healthcare payer will process the claim. So these things can be done in much alarming speed, right? Coming to the commercial planning point of view, we can do a lot of compliance chatbots, review, and then next best action plan. And this is commercial plans which we commercial teams usually do. So these are the pharma use cases which we'll talk about. Of course, there are some ethical considerations are there, where which we already touched upon, where bias will come into an algorithm. We need to do it very systematically. Otherwise, the transparency is an issue, where a lot of data gets sucked up in what are there in the internet. And then potentially is, it can be, it's can possible that, it can be a fully autonomous drug discovery can happen. Sometimes it doesn't involve the humans intervention. Then what the problem is, sometimes it gets robotic, sometimes we miss the lot of components which human intervention is very required, because it can make false positives as well. So in terms of the future trends, again, robotics is the biggest thing which is coming up right now, right? Yesterday or two few days back, Elon Musk announced that you can buy a robot as much as like $10,000 to $20,000, which is something like 8 lakh to 16 lakhs, right? So 16 lakhs is not a huge amount when it comes to, because again, how about the robot is giving personalized care? It can helps you to patient care and some of those components, right? And then telemedicine, right? AI being integrated with telemedicine to improve the patient outcomes, to reduce the healthcare costs. Again, AI powered tools can now, like, it's already available as we speak, right? If you book an appointment in online tools, right? So doctors do a virtual consultation thanks to flip side of the COVID time. People have evolved that telemedicine with AI tool. It makes telemedicine even more personalized, and data backed design it can do. So yeah, so again, individualization, personalization, treatment, which we already discussed about. So again, a lot of collaboration need to be done from a tech and pharma industry in order to enable that. In terms of conclusion, of course, healthcare is being transformed with the arrival of Gen AI. Of course, we need to take into consideration of ethical and regulatory consideration, um, which is very important for making wrong decisions. Yeah, that's all
Thank you,
from my
sir.
side. Mm.
Thank you, sir. You explained very nicely, and it is a very informative session. And where till now, most of the people may feel that AI can be of helpful, and means apart from health sector, it may play a vital role in a software like, or and like Microsoft, like a software system like. But wherein a disease management and also in identification, we know that IA is of helpful as a disease identification tool. But wherein a management, up to my knowledge, I don't know anything regarding the management using an AI. But the session is very very helpful for me personally, and I gained much more knowledge, truly speaking.
Thank you. Glad that you could hear. Any
Yeah.
responses from the audience? Any comments,
Sir,
questions?
wait, sir. One, I'm going to make one person to be enter into the studio so he can directly ask you a question, sir.
Yes.
uh, how to emphasize or correlated it's important to the students from the academic perceptive ways, or any syllabus is needed in order to encourage the students in this way. This is for the question which is by Sunita Shinde.
Okay. No, it's a brilliant question by Sunita Shinde. Um, Clearly, right? So the students, what they are learning today in the college, for my own self, right? I end up doing a PhD. So I invested 12 years versus what I'm doing is very different. And that is the case not with us, even engineers also. There is no correlation with what they studied at the college versus what actually they do, especially when they're talking about industry. The reason why I'm talking industry is because industry is at the cusp of commercialization and bringing close to the customer, which is relevant, right? So it's very important we give them life skills. So academia does teach us the core fundamentals, right? Our strategic thinking, or our ability to the learning components and ability to adapt in a flexible way to the new opportunity challenge that arrives. So it's very key that we prime them, which is more of a behavioral in nature, what I spoke. Coming specifically to the technology, I would recommend to Dr. Shindeji prompt engineering, specifically to the Gen AI. What is prompt engineering? Because that computer is already built, supercomputer is already there, which is consuming the electricity of a Mumbai city or New York City. That is the computation power is available. It's all about how you harness that power of computing, which is available to you, right? You should able to understand how do we the prompts, right prompt, right? There are different kind of prompts are available, right? So that prompt engineering wise need to be clearly spoken or understood. I'll be happy to take one or two more questions. So just to elaborate on
Sorry,
Shindesh,
sir,
by the
is there
time,
any impact of introducing AI into the curriculum as a part of family or a BPharm student, sir? I feel
yes,
it may be
I would
helpful for them.
I would highly encourage, right? It will not take much of a huge thing. I know Pharmacy Council of India uh, generally flexible, but the current curriculum itself, right? Pharma graduate end up reading everything that's available, right? From chemistry to biology to industry to pharmaceutics to physiology, anatomy, everything. So ideally, some specialization to be done and upfront. Coming specific to the question, right? Specifically, right? Prompt engineering is what I recommend. So what it means is there are something called persona prompt, audience persona prompt, recipe pattern prompt, question refinement pattern, alternative approach pattern, meta language creation pattern, custom vocabulary, priming model, output automation pattern, gameplay pattern. It's all about you have important tool, but once you're aware about all this prompt engineering, you can get the best for your pharmaceutical or drug discovery or development or what are the curricula, right? So I would highly encourage like how can we introduce Gen AI and prompt engineering course so that to write prompts to the Gen AI models, you extract the best for your students, right? That is something if they learn it, once they pass out of their graduation, they will make a good employment for themselves, right? Today, a simple video editor who sits in Amirpet can easily make 2 lakhs per month because he learned how to simple video editing skills. That's all. Likewise, I'm not denying that like no, you stop doing pharma healthcare and learn those things. I'm telling this the opportunities that are available are humongous. I think we are entering into a zone where the world is going to operate very differently, right? So all the jobs currently, the fear is this Gen AI, AI tools are replacing, like media industry we heard, right? So the script writers, songwriters, musicians, they feel like they're out of job because it can create, obviously, like 80% of the workforce is redundant. Only 20% of workforce is sufficient to manage the workload which is required the human intervention, right? But this 80% of workforce will get replaced by the people who knows these technologies. It is not like people who knows Gen AI will replace the people who do not know the Gen AI. That's how I see it, right? It's not about the fear, but it's more about introducing to the curriculum systematically. And then again, if you wanted to take in a bureaucratic regulatory route, we end up losing a lot of time. These things will take simply in weekend, like Saturdays, Sundays. If they spend 4 hours, 5 hours workshop outside in smaller tutorial centers, they can also master these things. So those are the simple solutions, so that we end up not boiling the ocean. Instead, we give the practical tools and approaches so that they can quickly fix the issues. They're upskilled, they're capable to do the modern day problems, to solve the modern day problems, so that they stay relevant to the humanity and the mankind in whatever the form, whatever the sector which they took, be it the drug discovery or development or regulatory writing, commercialization, marketing, you name it. Hope it suffices the answer.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Divya, is there
There
any
is
more
another
question?
question from the same Sunita Shinde.
Uh-huh.
Uh, is any software that is helpful for the students to for learning the basics of all this AML, which includes in curriculum?
Basics of LMA software. I think if you open there are several tools are there. Of course, one is the OpenAI, what Paul Altman has. They have a ChatGPT 3.0 version is there, free of a cost. Of course, 4.5 is the premium one, which requires some subscription. But if you want free, you can do it. If you want to take some subscription, you can still invest it. It is something you are investing in yourself. These are not going anywhere, the cost, right? We have Perplexity. We have some more tools that are available, which I have shown it earlier, right, in the slide, right, along with Microsoft and so on. So those things can be leveraged, right? Cohere, Jasper. So these are some of the tools and software one can deploy to understand what are the components. Sometimes you can in ChatGPT itself, you can ask what are the tools are available. It itself throw you a lot of suggestions. Of course, you need to cut out the lot of noise and filter out, but you can do that.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
That's it, sir. No questions, sir.
Okay. Hope I overshot the upcoming presenter perhaps by 15 minutes, I think. Cool. If there are no questions, is it an end?
No questions. Yes, sir. We can
Okay.
end this session, sir.
Then I would like to take this opportunity again, thank Principal G and Dr. Murthy Devarkonda and also Dr. Divya Garu, who has been amazing host and being patient amidst of these technical challenges in this virtual world. If it is a direct face to face, I would be happy to visit and take more
Yes, sir.
live, because that way it's easy to sense the pulse of the audience. You stay relevant. That is again one side technology is good. At the same time, technology also disconnects very. It also cripples. So these are the things we need to be aware of, both the components. But again, thank you for this opportunity. Appreciate all your time. I hope I have some help in terms of triggering some of the thoughts around the Gen A and healthcare. But happy to take any further questions which we have offline. Thank you very much, Dr. Yadav.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for being a part of FDPC.
Thank you. Good day.
Afternoon, we have a session at 2 p.m. with Vasudeva Rao, sir. Kindly join before the 10 minutes. The link will be shared.